Chris Yandeck, C1 Review, covering Las Vegas and the World, Week 11 of the college football season. We've got standings, we've got playoff rankings, we've got all that cool stuff. We've got some exciting games this week, not as many as last week. Last week was fun. Back with us, of course, Bearcat Bites, Lane Fobbs. Find him on X. Bearcat Bites, the only newsletter that covers Sam Houston, independent media outlet, of course. Lane, thanks so much for joining me, as always, on C1 Review. What do you think about the games this week before we talk about them?
You know, I like them because now it is, again, we're into the part of the season where, like you said, we got those playoff rankings, so teams kind of know what they need to do. The pressure is ratcheted up a little bit, so let's see who succeeds. Let's see who crumbles. There's always a little bit of both. I can't wait to see how it plays out, man.
Oh, I agree with you. So let's just start. I'm just going to give you Mr. Alum, TAMU, Missouri. TAMU, keep it going? I think so. I don't think Missouri's that great.
Yeah, and especially since they've got that freshman quarterback Zoller starting. I know Prebula got injured in a situation where he really shouldn't have been in. I just look at Texas A&M's defensive line. To me, that's what really is different from last year. I know Nick Scruton, Shamar Stewart, these guys were names that went in the draft, but I think this year's crop of Cassius Howell, guys like that, I think they're really, really good and they're deep. And I think it's going to really show up against Missouri. Maybe you won't see the offense do that well. Maybe that this is always that time of the year where the offense starts to have questions. They kind of get figured out. But I think the defensive line for Texas A&M will be the difference. They're going to roll against Mizzou.
Getting one step closer to the college football playoff. Let's talk about LSU fired coach, man. Is every SEC coaching job going to be open but like Georgia and Alabama at the end of the year? I mean, it's almost getting there in TAMU. I mean, it's crazy, right? Yeah. I don't think LSU's got enough offense. I just don't. I know first game, look what Florida almost beating Georgia last week. As I said, they'd be competitive. Disappointing, of course. But can LSU be competitive? I mean, can they actually be competitive, or does Alabama just keep getting better?
Well, first of all, let me go back to the Georgia-Florida game. That was a catch. The guy from Florida caught that ball. You saw it there on the replay. I'll leave it alone.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. But you know, it's SEC. You know, we know how that goes.
No, ACC refs are worse than SEC refs.
Well, at least the ACC, you're able to go in kind of behind the scenes, and they kind of do the whole thing where it's like, all right, we show you how it's done. So even if it's a mistake, you understand it. You know.
You're saying Bama, LSU, sir.
All right, let's see. Bama, LSU. I will go with Alabama. Now, LSU, now Frank Wilson has come in. He has a tie here to Texas. He was one of the early edition head coaches of UTSA. I believe it was right after Larry Coker when that program first started up there in San Antonio. He came right after him. You know, he's a Louisiana guy. He's St. Aug grad from New Orleans. You know, LSU's really getting everything aligned. It's really weird and Louisiana how they're going about it, but they've got the president now. They've got the full-time AD who they turned him over from the interim, even though he's got the questionable past and things. And now they look like they've got a guy in Frank Wilson who should be on the next coaching staff and the next iteration of this program. But that will bring some positivity and momentum to this game, and that brings a little bit of more juice. But I really think Alabama, they're out to prove that, hey, we are still here. We are legit. I'm slowly starting to come around to Kalen DeBoer. He's not Nick Saban. He's not. He's doing it in his own unique way. This is a game to see how competent that is, how far that's really taken him with Alabama, and I think the Tide are going to roll.
I think so too. Sorry, LSU, not very good. Northwestern, a team that has absolutely impressed this year, under the radar. USC, thoughts? Can they do it again?
Yeah, USC is definitely going to do it again. Good win last week against Nebraska. I know Dylan Raiola got hurt. He's out for the year, unfortunately. That's really sad. Not good if you're a Cornhusker fan. But I think USC, they have figured out some way to kind of win on the road in these tougher Big Ten environments. Now, Northwestern, you don't think tough Big Ten environment when you think Northwestern, but on the same token, that should give Trojan fans a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of belief that they can win this game in the northern suburbs of Chicago. So I'm going to go with the Trojans, but I think Northwestern puts up a good fight. They showed a respect. They had a respectable showing when Oregon came there. So I expect the same thing in this game.
Speaking of Oregon, they have to play at Iowa this week. I just, for some reason, feel like this is a trap game for Oregon. Tell me your thoughts.
Woo! I agree. You kind of stole my thunder, Chris. This is definitely a trap game. This is, Kirk Cignetti kind of figured out, kind of unlocked kind of the secrets of how to beat Oregon, and they're a little shakier than we thought they would be. And I will just will mow you down. Just whatever you are trying to do offensively, they will bring you down to their level. So I'm gonna tepidly go with Oregon, but it's not gonna surprise me if Kirko out there in Iowa City is able to pull it out.
Yeah, I mean it's again we have these interesting weird matchups you would never get otherwise unless it was bowl game season or the beginning of the year. So again, I like this part. Don't love the college football playoff 12 bracket, but I do like this part. I'm really interested in your thoughts on BYU and Texas Tech, and the question I have for you is that can BYU slow down Texas Tech's offense in your opinion?
They can. They've kind of been in and out, with injuries there at their quarterback spot and things like that. I think things are a little bit stabilized. So yeah, there's definitely room for BYU to kind of play some good defense and frustrate them. What I would be worried about if I'm BYU thinking I'm going to win this is that it's in Lubbock, it's at home. Now they're not going to be able to throw the tortillas anymore. This isn't the 2000s, the 2010s, but I still think that home field advantage is going to mean something when the Red Raiders running out there on the field with the sound and the band. I love their fight song, by the way. I think their defensive line, much like A&M's, is kind of going to be the difference. I like Jacob Rodriguez, their linebacker. Really I expanded to their front seven is what I like for Texas Tech. So that's the reason that I'm going to go ahead with the Red Raiders. It should be a close game. Hopefully, should be a fun game. That's what we want to see, right? But give me Texas Tech.
I agree. Georgia, Miss State, the other one. Georgia upset alert. Miss State still playing pretty decent football. Can Miss State win at home?
No.
So Mississippi State is not as good as a fired Florida coach team, which I know Florida beat Mississippi State a couple weeks ago. But I don't know. I don't know. Again, Florida just gave them their all, and they should have beat Georgia. And I don't know, Mississippi State, I feel like maybe they're not as good as Florida in that regard. I don't know.
Mississippi State, they finally got that conference win there against Arkansas. By the way, Bobby Petrino, everybody wanted to bring him back. He's 0-4. He hasn't won a game yet. The sequel hasn't been nearly as good, just like most movies, right? But I don't hate this Mississippi State team. You're right. They're a lot better. Jeff Lebby, a lot of people didn't think he was qualified for the job. He's shown a lot more competency than a lot of people would have given him credit for when the season started. That said, I just think this Georgia team, while not as good as previous versions of themselves, they're not the 2022 team, but they are still better. This is a game where I think just the talent shows up a little bit more. Again, it's not quite talented as Georgia in the past. They're not as deep, but I think if this game was played in year 3 of the Jeff Lebby regime, maybe next year, I'm thinking upset, but I'm going to go with Gunnar Stockton. I'm going to go with Georgia in this one. Bulldogs are finally starting to use Noah Thomas, their wide receiver, the transfer from A&M. So let's see them open up their offense a little more as well.
The next one I'm so excited for, Tulane at Memphis. Memphis knocking on the door of that college football playoff. Biggest football game in Memphis history?
I would say so, given the stakes. This is pretty much a play-in game, right? Now, talking about the playoff, the committee, they didn't rank any of the G5s. They didn't put them in. So that just kind of says, all these games, these are going to be the play-ins, whichever one of you guys standing at the top. And this is one of them. Whoever loses it is done. I'm going to go with Memphis, and here's why. Tulane didn't look good last week against UTSA. And then we've kind of seen that when that happens with these teams, these coaches are on the phone with other schools, LSU and John Summerall for the Green Wave there. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And the thing with Summerall, unlike these other coaches, the other coaches LSU wants, they're in other states. They just got to send some boosters down to New Orleans, to that Garden District there in Tulane and be all in his ear. Lots of distractions. No, give me Memphis.
I think of all of the games this week, I'm looking forward to that one most. And maybe
it's gonna be
BYU
fun.
Texas Tech. I think that game will be phenomenal. UNLV Colorado State. Told you UNLV was on a downside. Can they stop them? Can they stop the mudslide in Colorado this week?
Yes. Now they did run into a very resurgent Jason Eck, man, New Mexico. Like, my goodness, like that turnaround's been epic.
Is
But
he going to end? Is he going to end up in the SEC? I mean, could he be the Arkansas coach or Auburn or UCLA or something? I'm serious. Honestly, to tell you the truth, I hope Florida takes a look at him. I am really interested in what he's doing.
Well, all of these names, teams like Florida, teams like LSU, they're linked to these, quote, top shelf names. Not everybody's going to get one of those top shelf guys. So you're looking down to the next level. Jason Eck is there. Now, the next level doesn't mean that they're not winners, that they can't get the job done. These are just, all right, let's go to our B list. Let's go to our C list.
We had a coach from Arkansas State last time, I believe, and Urban Meyer was from Utah. So, I mean, my point, I think I like his story and I like what he's doing at New Mexico, but can UNLV get back on the positive, I hope?
Yeah, I think they can here. Colorado State's working with an interim coach too. I know they made a couple of cosmetic changes around their offense. UNLV, even in the loss, they played pretty tough. They're still there. So I think they're going to get it turned around out there in the mountains, Colorado, against the Rams.
We'll see. Oregon State off of a high, beating Washington State. No one expected that. National television, 2-7, right? But there's your Super Bowl, right? I think Sam Houston will show up this week and give a very competitive game. I'm serious, this could be the week that Oregon State comes off the high of that win, and if Sam Houston really wants to win a football game, this could be the week. I could see really high scoring.
Man, I just don't see it. I just don't see it right now. There's just a lot of it really feels like a lot of this, the weight of the season started to wear on Sam Houston. Just like this is granted, this is their last far away trip. I mean, their schedule's been more fit for freaking Carmen, San Diego. They've been like hopping the globe, it feels like. So you can really feel it. And last week when they gave up 55 points and 427 rushing yards to La Tech, that to me, that was the red flag right there. That's a reason I think that, it's a Oregon State's expected to win by a large margin. I don't know if they'll win by that big, but if you're Oregon State, Rob Akey, the interim coach there, he's injected a lot of life into that program. He's just kind of kept it real with the guys and said, hey, if you don't want to be here, still try hard. You can get something on tape and leave. And, whether they want to be there or not, they've bought into that. And it's equal 2 wins so far. So it's senior night there. If you ever play the Oregon Trail game, you can catch dysentery and come back with all this stuff. I kind of think that's going to be Sam Houston this weekend.
Yeah, but you know what? But you know what? In this regard, I feel like in these meaningless games and these meaningless spots where you could be, where there's no way to prepare for them because lots of players are rotating in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. I don't know. I have a good feeling this weekend. I don't know why, but I have a good feeling this weekend. I hope I'm right.
I'll say this, Chris. Let me tell you something. I'll be out there. Yeah, sure. So if it is a win, it'll be a lot easier to kind of cover and write something about it. So
you're going to be in Corvallis this weekend.
Yes, I will be there. I'm flying out Friday into Portland. I'll rent a car, and after some shenanigans on Friday.
How far is Portland from Corvallis?
I think it's about an hour and a half. It's not too bad.
Have you ever been there before? No, I'm guessing.
I've been to Portland, but not Corvallis.
I hope you have a good time and go and look up again the signature university restaurant, bar, and grill to go to make sure you make some stops. Like whenever you're going to be there again, the answer is never. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? That's so cool though. Have fun. That is so cool. I look forward. Please take a bunch of pictures, of course, as always. Look forward to seeing them on the X. Final honorable mention, my opinion. Florida gets it done this weekend against Kentucky, 20-13. Good luck, Florida. Anyways, moving along. Lane Fobbs, tell us about where we can find you and all the good coverage and all that stuff. Look forward to all of your reporting this coming weekend from Corvallis.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Shout out to all the supporters who have supported what we've done. They're the only reason we've been able to go out there. We're like freaking PBS. We're publicly funded, and that's the only reason we've been able to do it. So shout out to those supporters. Bearcat Bites. You can check out the newsletter, all that good stuff, year-round coverage of Sam Houston football, independent media, Conference USA, soon to be Texas FCS schools. If it's college football, I'll write about it. You can join our be a paid member, free shirts. I've got freaking house shoes too. Christmas items.
There you
Christmas
go.
items, man. We're doing it.
We got to be doing it big. And listen, have fun this weekend. I'm going to be following your X all weekend. I look forward to hearing all the stories, and it's going to be great. I'm sure it'll be phenomenal. Have fun, enjoy Oregon State. Come on, let's go, Sam Houston. Give him 4 quarters of watchable football at least. Please give him 4 quarters of watchable football. That would be nice. Thank you so much, Lane.
All right, thanks, Chris.